You know that saying, it takes a village to raise a child? Well, we believe it takes a village to raise a family. And whether it was because of those socially restrictive changes of COVID, or maybe just the nature of our evolving modern digital world, it can feel like parts of that village have been lost. My next guest says that we are social creatures who need more in-person interaction. He wants us to help restore our neighborhoods to a higher level of community. Relationship contributor Dr. Matt Townsend joining me with ways to bring back the village. We're bringing it back.
Good. We need it.
Where did it go?
I'm desperate.
Where did it go?
If it takes a village to raise a child, it must take what? A bunch of children to destroy the village. But it probably just went away by neglect. Whatever you don't water, whatever you don't nurture, dies. And so we need to make this way more intentional if we want to have community. Community is not easy, just like marriage and relationship isn't. We got to work. It
takes intention. And I love that you use the word and point us toward intentionality, because I will say, as our producing team here at Studio 5 has been working on this series and these topics over the last many months, everyone lights up at the topic of neighborhood and community, but it's the on-the-ground effort, or those intentional efforts, that seem to be not happening.
No, and so I think some of that might just be the movement to kind of more tech. We do everything by tech now.
Yeah.
We do our shopping by tech. We do our meetings by tech. And so I think that ease of that has overcome kind of just the beautiful way we used to connect and have community. But the technology doesn't necessarily mean you're connected. It just means we are on a network together. But to connect, there is a benefit of being in proximal space. So proximity is essential to real enduring, lasting community.
I think pace has a place in this conversation as well, because even if I am skipping grocery pickup, maybe I didn't get my order in by midnight the night before, and I am walking the aisles of the grocery store, am I going to take time to stop and talk to Mary? Am I going to take the time? We're moving so fast, we're missing it.
And did I even know Mary? And why would I talk to her if I don't know her? And so a big key to what I want us to start thinking about is there is a responsibility we all have. Every one of us has an ownership of community. And I think a lot of us have kind of abdicated that ownership. We've given it up. And just like we might rather be renting than owning, but we treat something we rent differently than we treat something we own. So part of this is I want ownership back in community.
You believe community requires open hearts.
Yeah. In fact, think about it. If I have a closed heart, I'm not going to have an open mind or an open space or an open desire to let people in. So my goal is really to let as many people in with this open heart. In fact, listen to this great quote. Have you ever heard of Albert Einstein?
I've heard his name once or twice.
Super smart guy. But he says, our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion. So the prison of loneliness that a lot of people, I think, feel is because we've shut a lot of people out because we're so closed-minded about them. We only think of people in their groups or their whatever label or tag we've put on them. And we need to probably break down some of those labels. We need to start looking at our neighbors, not as people that are just here to like go to our church, not as people that are just here to act a certain way or that are a certain race or a certain color or a certain gender. We need to see each other as really just little bits of us, and we all have so much in common. And if I can just be open and be compassionate to the goodness that's in every human, you'll see that starts to lift the community.
I love how you said that, little bits of us. Like we are so much more alike. Yes, than we are different. I say that all the time, but I believe it to be true. You say there's a couple ways we can energize the community, and I like the idea of that. Like if you are someone who celebrates the word community or the concept of community, you say your strengths and your service can bring back the zip.
The zip is the energy you've got. And when we get that energy back in the community, using our strength to serve the community and our service to serve the community, then all of a sudden our energy will be transferred back into community. Strengths are really interesting. There are some people that love to party. So if I were them, I'd be making up a party. I'd be creating parties. But some are organizers. We've had some flooding in our area, so HOAs are getting organized because the HOAs are kind of getting blamed for some of this, right? So you need people that are like leaders, that are administrators, and it's interesting. They're coming out of the bogs and the muds, and they're actually starting to organize. They're bringing their strength. If you love a sport, coach it. Even if you don't have kids, coach it. If you love to read, then get to the library and get involved in those community activities. Whatever you love, there is something you can connect to in the community and then bring in your energy into that.
Give it back.
Give it back.
And you think of the purpose that brings to you. I mean, it's a win-win, as we always say. Like, you're giving those strengths and that service to those around you, bettering the community. We'll use that word again. But the purpose you'll feel and the payoff is so huge.
And with purpose and payoff and your strength, it's not draining. When you go with your strength, it's not draining, it's edifying, right? And so that's literally that's what eudaimonia is. So happiness is human flourishing, is the word that Aristotle used, eudaimonia. And so when we bring our strength to the world, it actually makes us happy and it doesn't drain us. It's actually negentropic. It's the opposite of entropy that slows us down. So passion and connection and strength, and then serving, brings charity. So now you've got all of these great things, positivity happening. You've got a lot of kind of synchrony because we're together and we're being charitable and we are in our strength, power.
I love that.
Yeah.
You did use some words that I don't know what they mean, but you and Albert Einstein.
Go to the library.
Elevating, exactly. You want us, and I love this final point, you want us to be a light, not a critic.
Yeah. Here's another great quote. I love quotes. Mr. Rogers, by the way. We can't talk neighborhood without Mr. Rogers. There are 3 ways to ultimate success, he says.
Okay.
The first way is to be kind. The second way is to be kind. And the third way is to be kind. I think he's telling us something. We got to be kind. So to be kind, you got to bring more light and less critique. Honestly, we live in a world where we think our voice matters. We've drilled that into people's heads so much that we think our voice matters more than what's being said or how it's being said.
Oh, I love that, Matt.
So to be independent in voice, but to be a big jerk or just opinionated without insight or compassion, it's not very helpful. So we want to bring light. We want to bring goodness. And so all you have to do that is find and notice the thing that's good and then just say it. Hey, I really love that dress. I really love this team. I really love the spirit on Studio 5. Once you start to just focus on it and see it, and then when you see it, you say it. And then another way to be the light is you work where the light is strongest, which is the kids. When you start focusing on the kids, you grow, right? We grow. When we grow community by strengthening the kid.
Why am I crying?
It's your mom.
That's so sweet. That is so sweet. Go where the light is the strongest and focus on those kids. Sorry.
No.
Woo! You did it.
I totally
you did
get
it on a Monday. We love it. You were the perfect person to kick off this series.
Thanks,
we'll be talking about it all this week. And before we say goodbye, we are still celebrating your marriage boot camp.
Marriage boot camp, 10 days to a better marriage makeover is basically what we're doing. Go to matttownsend.com. You get a video a day. You have a workbook, and you start reversing that spiral that we all fall into. Not you and Mark, but just the rest of us. And you reverse the spiral. Go get it. It's just a cool way to kind of knock up and pick up your game.
You're starting, I know, to hear the feedback from
so
couples
awesome.
that have done this, and it's
Changing
awesome.
lives.
matttownsend.com. We'll link you from our website. Thank you, friends.
Thanks,
nice
Brett.
job.